The world of organ donation is seeing a shortage. We just don't have enough organs to go into the people who actually need them. This is a problem because that means there are people on waiting lists for years and years and years, and it can end up causing them to die because they don't have what they need to live. Solutions to this problem are plenty, unlike some other issues which may only have one or two. The interesting thing about organ donation is while we can get them from somebody else, we're also starting to learn how to harvest them from laboratories where we're working on 3D printing and stem cell technology. Some other things that have been brought under consideration is perhaps finding an incentive, taxes, funeral benefits, whatever else to help a family when they do decide to donate. In Israel, they're leading the way with a really innovative new program where they saw a lot of people were willing to accept the donation but weren't willing to give. And the way around this was if you were an organ donor, you were more likely to actually receive an organ. And what I would really like to tell you about are the other methods that I think are more viable for our country in the coming years. According to Lily Mercer, in Improving the Rates of Organ Donations, which was a Nursing Standard article in 2013, the biggest thing we can do is educate people. Go out there and tell them, this is what organ donation does, this is why we need it, this is why you should be a donor. People who tend to donate don't tend to think about educating their fellow peers. And it never comes up. It's just a sticker on your ID and that's that. Instead, we should be talking to our classmates, our families, and saying, hey, are you an organ donor? Why or why not? And helping to bring people around to that idea. Another new innovative thing was by J.R. Rodriguez et al., where he talked about the different ways to stimulate people into doing it. Tax credits, financial benefits, but people have seen this as kind of a way to lead organ donation into the black market, and we don't want that. So while it's a good idea, it's not something we want. Connor Gilligan, in his article, The Organ Donation Conundrum, written in 2012, of how to get people to donate, he talks about the discrepancy between needing and having. We need more than we have, which leads me to the two best ways that I think the United States will be able to relieve this shortage. One of them is through three-dimensional printing. We have 3D movies, right? Well, why not be able to print something three-dimensionally also? This was done in a TED Talk in 2011 by a woman who demonstrated using 3D printers how to make a kidney. And while this is really interesting, the problem with it is it had no vessels. That's 2 years ago, and technology has now changed. We're at the point where Catherine Harmon says we can start to make those vessels and to actually imprint them into the tissues when we create them. So instead of replicating something like food sources, we would be able to replicate kidneys and lungs and livers, things that people need, and nobody has to die. They can be freshly made, put into somebody. There's no worry about cross-contamination. There's no worry about transplant rejection. You could use the host's own cells, and they would have a viable organ, which also leads to not just organ donation, but think about people in a car accident whose pancreas had burst. Instead of having them die because it's such a vital organ, they have a chance at life from something so incredibly basic. Abraham Oswald and Howard Chen, an industrial engineer in 2013, wrote in their article, Manufacturing Living Things, about stem cell research. In stem cell research, what they do is they take a very basic unit, which is the cell, but a stem cell is very special. It does not have any defined use. It's just sitting there, coursing around, doing nothing. It's not a blood cell, it's not a liver cell. It has the potential to do whatever we tell it to do. So we can take a stem cell and say, this is the pattern I want you to have. And it suddenly becomes a kidney cell, a brain cell. Think about the advances we can make in nerve damage. People who are quadriplegics are no longer quadriplegics. But organ donation can take that technology with the 3D printing and start what's called scaffolding printing. And what it does is it takes one layer of cells and lays them down across this kind of predetermined color by numbers setup. After that, it lays down another and another. And with the kidney issue, what we've done is we've been able to make the vessels and start printing the cells around it, which gives us a better and more viable organ. These technologies are leading the way in the 22nd century. Imagine what we can possibly do with what we have now and the lives that we can save.